Mom, will we ever be happy again? The tiny voice trembled like a loose window during a storm. A woman sitting 2 tables away at the quiet bus station cafe froze mid-sip. She hadn't meant to overhear. But pain, real pain, had a way of traveling further than sound. Amira sat across from her 7-year-old daughter, Leanna, gently brushing crumbs off her sweater. The girl's eyes were swollen from crying, her small fingers clutched tightly around the mug of warm milk the cafe staff had given her for free. Amira forced a smile, the kind mothers create when they're trying to hold themselves together. "We will, sweetheart," she whispered, though her voice cracked. "We will." The woman listening, Helen, felt her heart twist. She wasn't someone who usually intervened in strangers' lives, but something about that question, asked with so much fear, pierced right through her. Outside, heavy rain beat against the cafe windows. People hurried past, umbrellas fighting the wind. But inside, the little girl's question hung like a cloud no one wanted to chase away. Leanna blinked up at her mother. "But Dad is gone. And we don't have our home anymore. And you're always tired. How can we be happy again?" Amira's breath shuddered. She reached across the table and held her daughter's hand. "Happiness, sometimes it hides, baby. But it never disappears forever. We just have to keep walking until we find it again." Helen, a woman in her mid-50s dressed in a neat gray coat, lowered her cup. She watched as the woman and child sat with 2 small bags, everything they owned, she guessed. Her eyes softened. She knew that look. She'd worn it herself 18 years ago after losing her husband and raising her son alone while struggling to pay rent. She couldn't ignore them. Taking a breath, she stood and approached their table. "Excuse me," she said gently. "I'm sorry, I overheard a little, I hope you don't mind." Amira tensed, embarrassed. But Helen smiled softly, disarming the moment. "I just wanted to ask if you two need help. You look tired and cold." Amira shook her head politely. "Thank you, but we're fine. We're just waiting for the late bus." Leanna tugged on her mother's sleeve. "Mom, do we have tickets?" Amira hesitated. And that hesitation said more than words ever could. Helen's heart sank. "If you don't mind, maybe you can tell me what's going on." Amira looked down, fighting tears. For a moment she stayed silent, but something about Helen's presence, calm, steady, kind, made her speak. "My husband passed away 8 months ago," she said quietly. "He got sick out of nowhere. Our savings went into treatment that didn't work. We fell behind on rent. We lost the apartment last week. I thought I could manage, but," her voice broke, "I don't have family nearby. I didn't want my daughter to see me break down, so I told her we're going on a trip." Leanna looked up. "But it's not a trip. We don't have anywhere to go." Helen swallowed hard. She felt a sting behind her eyes. The little girl's honesty was sharper than any blade. "Why didn't you ask someone for help?" Helen whispered. Amira gave a sad smile. "I've always been the one helping others. I don't know how to be the one who needs help." For a long moment, Helen said nothing. She simply pulled out the chair and sat with them as if she had known them her whole life. "I understand," Helen finally said. "I really do. I was once in a very similar place." Amira and Leanna both looked at her. Helen continued, voice trembling slightly but warm. "When my husband died, I had a 3-year-old son, no job, and no idea what I was doing. I felt alone even in crowded places. But one day, a stranger asked if I needed help. And that small act changed everything. It saved me. So, please, allow me to return what was once given to me." Amira opened her mouth to refuse, but Helen held up her hand. "I'm not offering charity," she said firmly. "I'm offering a hand. The same one someone once offered me." The cafe door opened, letting in a gush of cold wind. Amira shivered. Leanna pulled her coat tighter. Helen noticed. "Come home with me," Helen said gently. "Just for tonight. You can have a warm bed, hot food, and rest. We can figure out the rest tomorrow." Amira blinked in shock. I can't impose like that." "You're not," Helen said. "You'd be giving me a chance to do something good. Something meaningful." Leanna looked up at her mother, her eyes hopeful for the first time in days. "Please, Mom, can we?" And in that instant, the weight on Amira's shoulders lifted, just a little. She nodded slowly, tears streaming silently. "Yes, thank you." Helen smiled, placed her hand over Amira's, and squeezed gently. The bus they never boarded pulled up outside, hissing loudly before continuing its route. The rain kept pouring, but inside the cafe, something shifted, something brighter than hope, something warmer than safety. It was the start of healing. Later that night, at Helen's cozy house filled with old photo frames and soft blankets, Leanna laughed for the first time in months. Helen cooked them a real meal, nothing fancy, just warm food made with genuine care. Amira helped wash dishes despite Helen insisting she rest. When bedtime came, Leanna hesitated. "Mom," she whispered, smiling sleepily, "I think we're starting to be happy again." Amira tucked her in and kissed her forehead. "Yes, sweetheart, I think we are." Downstairs, Helen watched them with a glowing heart. One act of kindness had changed the course of 3 lives. Days turned into weeks. Helen helped Amira find a job at her friend's bookstore. Leanna transferred to a nearby school and grew close to Helen's grandchildren. Slowly, laughter returned to their lives. One evening, standing in Helen's kitchen while cooking together, Amira whispered, "You saved us." Helen shook her head with a warm smile. "No, dear, I just reminded you that you didn't have to walk alone." And Amira realized something she had forgotten for a long time. Happiness wasn't something you found at the end of the road. It was something rebuilt, piece by piece, with the help of those who cared. By spring, their lives looked completely different. Stable, peaceful, filled with hope again. And sometimes, in quiet moments, Amira would remember the rain, the cafe, and the question her daughter once asked with trembling lips. "Mom, will we ever be happy again?" And now she knew the answer. Yes, they would. Because sometimes happiness returns the moment someone refuses to ignore your pain.